Hey everybody, Icy Cat here, and it's time to talk about our favorite Siege-related topics on the Siege Report. I'm joined by co-host Nukem Dukem, who's going to help us introduce our first guest as we talk about some of the latest things that are happening in the game affecting Siege and the community this week.
Awesome. Yes. Last week we had the Russian Badger and then we had Serenity. And this week I'm proud to present another good friend of ours, THOMI here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. The time zone's a little different since you're in Germany, right?
Yeah, it's 3 a.m. here. It's a little bit on the dark side here.
Do you usually stay awake that late?
Oh yeah, well I definitely have a US audience, so streaming at like
Okay.
2 a.m. or something is not unusual for me. No.
Okay, very cool. So tell us a little bit about your channel for those who are not familiar with what you do in the Siege community.
Well, I usually just make highlight videos of when I play. Put them really nicely together, add them, edit some nice transitions in, some random stuff. Whatever I find, it's partly like, here's a good play that happened, here's some good team play that just kind of worked, and sometimes it's just funny things that happened. Sometimes you meet funny people, just randos, and just gives you a good laugh. I put those into the videos as well, and also even like random moments with people, like friends.
Right. So one of your videos I first noticed your channel was the homage to Siege, where it's like the first year Siege finish, and it was like beautifully done, where it shows every single different operators on every single different map, and it was just edited in a way where it's just a seamless transition. How long did that take, and how many friends helped you on that?
Oh, I don't quite remember how long it took. It was like 2 days of like just solid work throughout. But I had, I think, 3 different friends helping me with it. We had just some people walking, like sitting in the background for comedic value, and yeah. Other than that, it was basically just me running around recording a lot of stuff, and it's one of those side things that I just do every now and then. Sometimes I do stuff off the highlights. When I see, oh yeah, this is meme potential, so I just do one of those. Like sometimes I just took random movie scenes and put subtitles underneath them, and make them look really hilarious. And sometimes I do a homage to Siege, and I also did homage to Pulse back then, so kind of just fits.
Did you do other videos before Siege started, or Siege was when you started making your career on YouTube and when you become a live streamer on Twitch?
Oh, it's mostly a Siege. I mean, I kind of blew up with Siege. I did stuff before that. I did like all sorts of random stuff back in like 2009 or so. I did like everybody back then did like my Call of Duty montages, which obviously are now unlisted because they're absolutely dreadful. You don't miss out anything. But I did those, and then I did some random stuff. Just, I don't know. Whenever I found something that I found personally entertaining, I wanted to save, I put it on YouTube. And sometimes I tried somewhat, like, obviously at some point you're like, hey, maybe I can attract an audience somehow. And apparently Siege was the game to go. I tried it a little bit before with League of Legends, did some videos on that. Wasn't very popular, even though I quite liked the how it turned out to be. But my mic was absolute garbage back then, so that's probably got something to do with it. But yeah, but Siege is like how I blew up.
Very nice. Yeah, I remember my first video. If you go to my very first video, it's the like worst production I ever had, the worst mic. I don't know if yours was always like that, ICK. I think yours has always been like professional since day one.
Oh, I don't know about that. If you go back to some of my old videos, the early things, not only did my open animation change, but so did my style of presentation, and I had never done a YouTube channel before. I just kind of decided to start it with Siege, so I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. And then sometimes, I just felt like I was really making it up as I went.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, you have a job in video editing. Like, did that heavily influence everything, or as soon as the more you did YouTube, like it changed your way you edit videos in your job?
It didn't really influence what I do in my day-to-day job for editing because, I mean, as most people know, I actually have a full-time job that has nothing to do with YouTube. YouTube as a very part-time side thing. But having those skills before I started the YouTube channel did help me be able to put things together. It was more my personal presentation that I had to work on. As far as really, it was just being comfortable speaking to a camera, into a microphone, whatever it might be, was what I really had a challenge with.
Right. So, Tommy, like, what's going on with you in Siege right now? Are you mainly a PC player and you do some console, or any cool, exciting projects coming up?
Well, I mainly do PC, and right now, obviously, it's a little bit slow. I can't wait for Operation Health to be over, new operators coming out. But yeah, right now it's basically just a bit of Siege, and I've been dipping into other games as well.
You know, that's interesting because that was actually going to be the next question I was going to ask you is what do you think of this current season that we're in? And we've kind of asked each of our guests on the show so far that question because it is somewhat of a controversial topic. But from your personal perspective, I mean, how do you think Operation Health has gone? Is it worth it? What do you think?
Okay, so I'm gonna be entirely honest here. At the start, I thought it was like a really good thing. Obviously, it was clear from the very start. We had to push through, and it would be slow. But Epi announced that we would have a lot more transparency, a lot more communication going on between the devs and the community. Between the devs and community. But honestly, right now, I feel like the communication, especially, and the transparency are lacking, and there's no news about anything. Like we got alpha packs, but like no new bug fixes. We got the promised matchmaking, which did make things a bit better. It still could be worked on. Um, but in general, I feel like it's been a lot slower, and it has actually pushed me out of the game a little bit. I can't wait until it's over because we had the same really boring. I have to say it's been pretty boring meta for like the past 5 months, and it's not going to get better next week.
Yeah, so I mean, they've definitely been doing some things. You know, like you mentioned out the alpha packs and with the transparency with the dev team, and there really wasn't any information coming out on that before. Like it was basically
Yes.
like a few days ago. It's like, hey, 10 o'clock today, alpha packs live on PC, and everybody's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay then, that's
Yeah,
happening.
communication.
Dude, I gotta tell you a funny story when that came out. I was on a date, right? So the date was going well. We're going for a walk. You know, like when you have like a first date, and then you're like, hey, this is going well. Let's just like, like dinner and it's over. You're like, hey, let's go get some ice cream. Let's walk. Extend it. And then I got a tweet notifications like Alpha Pack's out now. I was like, I gotta go.
That's some dedication right there.
I was just like, oh man, I'll talk to you later. But yeah, it's just like the random like, it's out, or like that's the type of communication. And I don't know if you consider this passive communication, like what we see in technical test servers is like some little things that they're working on that's going to be added to the game, or they're working on. I don't know if you guys consider that communication part.
Well, I think from my perspective, the technical test server is an interesting thing, but I feel like a lot of the community is surprised the direction that TTS took because they were expecting it to be like, okay, we're going to roll out this certain patch, but before that does, we're going to like give it to the community first in the test server to try it out. So when it comes out, there's no surprises. But instead, what they're doing is they're not giving that actual patch. They're giving like 3 elements from it or 5 elements from it, but it's like not the patch that's coming at all. And I think a lot of people are surprised by that because then when the actual patch does come out and there are issues, they're like, well, why didn't we test this in this test server? Isn't that what that's for? So they're doing what they need to do, and I think that they're also trying to preserve some of the like their like they want to make sure that we have surprises and stuff when the new patch comes out. Whether it's new content or changes to operators, and they want to preserve that. And I can respect and understand that, but it's just I don't think a lot of the people were expecting that that's how the test server would work.
Right. Well, recently they just did new technical test servers, or they implemented a new patch. You covered it a little bit on your channel. You want to talk about that, Icy?
Well, the big thing that it affected was that they're making some changes in regards to the way all the things are happening on the server side of things, trying to get more of those things happening instead of like fighting between the local server and the client server. And they're also trying to make sure that some things are taking place as far as like the what was it? I believe the game chat was going to be taking
Yeah.
place like on the server instead of happening on a peer to peer, and they were trying to eliminate some of those things. I actually think you have more of a breakdown of that
Yeah.
recently than I do.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, the technical test server, they're trying out on Terrace Hunt. They're going to be dedicated servers on Terrace Hunt, so it's no longer rely on that peer-to-peer. And they're going to make a party system into a dedicated server, so it's no longer based on NAT type. You know, like on consoles and PC, it's sometimes you can't join your friends because they have strict NAT type or moderate NAT type. So that's going to go away. It's going to be on the servers now, so everyone should be technically. Everyone should be able to join on a friend's party without any connection issues. The voice chat is going to be on the server base, no longer peer-to-peer, so less strain on the internet usage on the player. And what's interesting is they're testing the rollback system and patch, where they tested a new dedicated server on Terrace Hunt, and then the following day they went back to peer-to-peer, so they're testing back the rollback system. So example, let's say Ubisoft uploads a new patch to PC or console and it breaks the game's no longer playable, they can just roll it back to the previous patch and fix what patch broke that game. So that's kind of what they're juggling right now in the technical test server. What's your thoughts on that, THOMI?
Well, I think it's very important, obviously, that you test that, but as Icy said earlier, I think kind of nobody really expected the way the test servers are going. Neither did I. I'm not very active on the test server, so I can't really talk too much about it. But again, it's kind of this thing of we don't get enough communication. It's this passive communication that we're getting. Maybe that's not the way to go. I don't know. But yeah, it's important that they're testing things and that they're using the test server. That is, imagine something breaks and the rollback doesn't work at all. What is going to happen then? And well, we know how reliable Ubisoft sometimes is with those kind of things.
You know what's funny? This is the first time they invited console users on technical test server. But there's like, okay, console users, we're gonna invite you. You get to try out these new coming stuff to see what's gonna change the game, but you have to play on the PC. So they invited a bunch of console players and they can test it out, but they have to play on the PC with the rest of us. And it's funny. It's like, if they already have a PC, wouldn't they be playing on a PC for the game? But I thought that was funny.
Sense.
But there are new rewards when you first log in technical test servers. They always have that new seasonal rewards, and then I believe IcyCat has more details on that.
Well, so, I mean, some of this stuff has sort of been leaked. We've seen some things on the subreddit and some other areas where people have posted some things, but some of it we also do know is coming. So we've got a breakdown of a few things on that. So first of all, we see that for the Operation Health kind of end-of-season reward thing, we're going to sort of get this like 3-pack of items, which is sort of an interesting new thing, where it's going to be a season charm, which we're used to seeing, but then it looks like there's also going to be a specific headgear for Doc, as well as a revolver skin for his weapon, of course, because Doc was sort of the poster child for Operation Health. So that's sort of a new and interesting thing we're seeing content-wise. We're also seeing some other bundles that are coming in. We had the Ash Engineering bundle that just dropped a few days back, which was pretty cool. GIGN looks like it's getting a new bundle. I'm not even going to try to say the French word of what that is, but it's some somewhat realistic looking camo skins. And then it looks like Mute is also getting some kind of a bundle. It's like called Gravel or something like that, where it's like a sort of urban camo with blues and grays and blacks. And so there's a lot of, you know, kind of interesting weapon skins and things rolling out either now or shortly.
Mm-hmm. Well, my favorite from all that is probably the revolver skin. It has like bandages on it for Operation Health.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I saw it, I was like, oh, okay.
And then, Nickum, you also had something on your channel regarding what looked like some information possibly of some Pulse stuff that might be coming.
Oh. I'm scared just to post any speculation anymore. Anyways, yes, so I believe his name is Clupian. He's a Reddit user, so he basically does a lot of data mining in files. So technical test server came out, and he data mined a bunch of files. That's when we first got a lot of leaks about speculation on Calthrop, Dazzler, what their abilities are. He also found one that was an elite skin for Capital, but we got Blackbeard instead, so that wasn't accurate. But this time he found in this technical test server was a Pulse with a cardiac sensor taunt for a victory animation for Elite. So that's just speculation. It could be that, but we're not 100% sure. So what do you guys think of having a Pulse Elite if it is true?
Well, I think that that's an interesting operator to go ahead and give some reskins to, because of course, when you talk about the way they do that, they in addition to like a victory pose or some skins, they also give the gadget a skin effect. And when we just got the one with Blackbeard recently, it was such a disappointment because it just had like a green border instead of a black border with like some stencil word on it. And admittedly, there wasn't much that they could do for that gadget. But when Pulse uses his gadget, it takes up the entire screen and is right in front of him. So we might see something kind of cool there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What
I think
if...
they're probably... Sorry.
No, I'll let you finish. Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay. Do you think they're actually going to change up the gadget effect? Like the red bar going like whoop? Or is it just going to be the casing? Because I think it's probably just going to be the casing.
I would agree
Maybe the
with
different
that.
color.
I would agree with that because you would almost be changing the way the operator functions if there's some kind of an advantage to the scanning effect. Then it's almost like you're giving somebody a buff that is unintended. So I think you're right. It's probably maybe just going to be the casing, or maybe it'll be like a different color, but it'll still work the same way or something.
Light blue, Operation Hell, heart beating successfully. What is victory animation? Just punch out someone's heart next to him and holds it. Just like
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, yes. Finish him, and it's just your teammate because you don't see the enemy there. Yeah, another fun. I don't know if you're into elite skins. I'm all about the elite skins. You can't play good unless you feel good about how you look. Are you into that, Tommy?
It depends. The only elite skin that I have is the one for Sledge because that one looks just so amazing. Okay. Into the other three, I didn't really get into. I didn't get the Blackbeard one because I already have the Pirate Blackbeard, and that's just the best thing ever.
And yeah, that's not like that.
No, definitely not a fan of that.
But yeah, if the headgear looks, if the entire skin looks good, obviously, yeah, I'm all into that. But if it's like kind of meh, then I'm like,
so Sledge is your favorite elite skin?
Yes, he used to be like one of my favorites.
I just buy them all. I was like, just give me everything. Like, and but what's the difference between me and you, Icy, is that I like all the crazy clown, like funny, crazy stuff, and you're like, give me realistic stuff. So I don't know, like, what elite skins work for you or what skins
My
your
favorite is Twitch. I love her elite skin. The gadget skin is awesome. The weapon skins are awesome. The uniform is cool, and of course, there's the fact that there's actually a face reveal for an operator that was like completely covered before, which is just way cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So in the other news this week, Alpha Pack is now on PC and is coming out on Xbox One next week, July 24th, and no release date yet on PS4.
Yeah, I think they're kind of hedging their bets with that one. I think they've been hedging their bets with Alpha Packs the whole time, which is why we didn't get an announcement this week for when they were coming until they were like pretty much already there. I think that the fact that we got an announcement today regarding content that was coming Monday is a better sign, and I'm glad of that. But then they're also kind of saying like, and we'll see how that goes, and then if it goes well, we'll do it on PS4 that week too. So there's definitely kind of they're just trying to make sure that they're not putting too much out there, leaving themselves too vulnerable for making commitments if things roll out and go poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I've seen a thing on the subreddit as well. Maybe it's coming out on Xbox first, right?
Yes.
So somebody has suggested that they might want to do, because the PlayStation has this touchpad on the controller, that they might want to do the opening with the touchpad, and that may be why it's coming a week later. That just like sprung into my mind.
Huh.
Oh, was that just a suggestion, or is that something they're actually going to look at doing?
I don't know. It's just somebody suggested it, and I'm thinking like, I don't know, maybe it kind of fits, doesn't it? Why would they not release it on both at the same time?
No, I can tell you why I think. Let's see if you guys agree with me. So they put it out on PC first. Since there's no certification, it's easier to fix stuff on the PC.
Yes.
For Xbox and PS4, any patch or updates that they have to do has to go through certification approved by Microsoft and one by Sony. So I'm assuming the player base is smaller on Xbox. No 100% confirmation, but from what I hear is PS4 has more users. They want to test it out on one console, and which has probably the smaller player base, and maybe is easier to get approved by Microsoft than PlayStation is. So it's like, okay, let's see how it works on one console before we put it onto the next console. What do you guys think?
I think that could be possible. I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying as far as player base size, but and I actually don't know which one is bigger or not. I'm sure one is certainly more than the other, but the way they worded it made it sound like it would be within a couple of days, and I don't know if they can pump something through Sony certification that quickly. So I'm not sure if that's the reason, because if it was that fast, then when we would see a PC development first, they usually have us wait a week or even 2 weeks before consoles get it. So I don't think they could do like a couple day turnaround on a submission to Sony.
That is interesting. I don't know. It takes like a week or 2 weeks to get certified once you want to do a new patch, right?
I suppose it depends on the size, but yeah.
Yeah. Or what changes, because like someone has to sit there and go through all these check boxes and stuff to that.
The other big thing that's happened this week has been the change that there was this huge ban wave that resulted. And it was basically because like 3,000 people had hacked into it on PC and done essentially like renown farming. They could get 50,000 renown a day, and it was essentially creating an environment where people would be able to get almost unlimited renown with time. And of course, with alpha packs coming out and that those cost renown and eventually they will cost rainbow credits, this is of course something that Ubisoft needed to look at. And the decision they made with that is that if you play Lone Wolf Terrorist Hunt or Situations, with the next patch that comes out, you will no longer get renown for doing so, outside of daily challenges. Daily challenges for Terrorist Hunt will still grant you those. But if you're just playing just to play, you will not get renown for Lone Wolf Terrorist Hunt anymore, although you will still for Group Terrorist Hunt. That's been super controversial in the community. I know when I did a video on that, I've gotten thousands of comments that are just like dumping all over Ubisoft's decision to do this. As somebody else that plays it, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, they should probably just find a better way to deal with the entire situation. Just blocking out the renown, maybe it's just a short-term thing that they're gonna block it out for a while until they found something better. But blocking it out is a really bad thing for all the new players, because I know for a fact that a lot of new players just go into Terrorist Hunt. They want to try and solo Terrorist Hunt just for just to learn the maps, just to learn like how to shoot properly, stuff like that. And I know a couple of people that do that for a couple hours, and not getting renown out of this really hinders you from getting all the other operators, especially if you have the starter edition. I've seen a thread on the subreddit today that somebody played like 300, 400 hours just to get all the operators with the starter edition. And then not getting that extra renown from soloing Terrorist Hunt can really cut into that, especially since it's a relatively fast way to get renown. It's kind of crazy. A friend of mine also, for the alpha packs, he farmed over 1 million renown, and he farmed most of that in Terrorist Hunt. And it's just bad that they removed it, honestly. There should be a better way to handle all of the exploiting and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe what they could have just done is set a renown limit a day already. Or actually, I don't know if that resolves it. Yeah, I don't know. They gotta figure something out. But just getting rid of the renown bonus in Terrorist Hunt is a really bad idea, I think, especially for the newer players.
Well, one thing they did say was that they looked at other alternatives, and the other alternatives would have impacted the game more. We don't know what that means. We have to kind of take their word for that, because we really don't know what they looked at.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. But, as you say, there's a lot of people that do legitimately play this mode. Even people that don't care about Terrorist Hunt by and large might use it as a warm-up, before they hop onto rank, and they just kind of want to warm up their aim and knock out, maybe 2 or 3 rounds of Terrorist Hunt quick, and that's maybe all they're using it for. But you could be gaining renown during that time, and sure, maybe it's only between 250 and 300 renown per crack, but if you go through like 3 warm-up sessions before you hop onto rank, I mean, that's easily, an extra, 600 renown or 800 renown or whatever that you could have had that you're just not getting now,
Yeah,
and
that's like 20K a month.
Yeah, I don't know what I first thought when I heard of it. I was like, okay, it's fine, people are cheating and getting more renown for getting the alpha packs since it came out, and I didn't think about it too much until you mentioned about a lot of people use Terrorist Hunt. That's the way they play the game, that's the way they enjoy the game, and they don't like that competitive, casual ranked nature. When I usually just think of Siege, I just think about rank and casual, and I was like, yeah, that's really rough, because I made a video on how to get better at Siege, and I always suggest play a couple rounds of Terrorist Hunt, just get your aim at headshot and the crouch level just to warm up, and then I realized you don't get renowned for that. It's pretty tough. And I believe on top of that subject, there was like over 100 or a little bit more accounts that got falsely banned. and one of them was a very influential Siege community member was Macy J, and it happened during a stream. Like the bunch of Battle Eye ban waves came out, and then they all was like, yes, Ubisoft's banning cheaters, and then his account got banned, and everyone started freaking out. Now it was a fake ban, like apparently someone got his account. This is from what I heard. Someone got his account and registered it into this cheating website, and it somehow flagged him. So a good thing it got resolved quickly, but it's scary how like people who are just influencers who get targeted to get their accounts banned, and it's just crazy part of this whole changes to against cheaters. I don't know if you guys heard any of that and saw that drama.
Well, I definitely did as one of the subreddit moderators. The minute that happened, there were like 100 posts on the subreddit. Macy J just got banned. And of course, we had to go in there and then start cleaning this up because you don't need like 100 posts about the exact same topic. But so we were kind of like on emergency cleanup duty on the subreddit the minute that went down.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I don't envy that situation, but thankfully, Macy J's not a cheater, and he's a good friend of ours, and it's just unfortunate it happens to someone like that. And you think about those other 100 counts, they're not like, if they are not prominent Siege members or well-known people, they can't get in contact with Ubisoft as easy like he did to get like that false ban taken care of. So hopefully they had a good support system on that. But anyways, do you have any topics you would like to discuss, THOMI?
Well, yeah, I would have a topic. I would like to talk about how mouse and keyboard is being used on consoles and how the community is very, very split by that decision. Well, it's not a decision, it's just a thing that happens. I personally stand my stance that, I don't know, actually, I want to hear your guys' opinions first.
Well, I think that mouse and keyboard has always been a controversial topic. I'm predominantly a console player. Nukem does a little bit of both, but he's more PC. And I think that a lot of the popular content creators, do kind of tend to go toward the PC side because that's where the Pro League exists. But one thing is that the community manager for Rainbow Six has flat out said like using mouse and keyboard on console is flat out cheating. So that's like the official position on it. But some people will make the case that, oh, it's not a big deal because you can use both on a PC, so why can't you use both on a console? But on a PC, when you plug in a controller, it's detected on the USB port, and all the buttons are remapped for controller instantly, and it switches the recoil profile over for a controller so that when you're playing against people with keyboard and mouse, you have a more forgiving recoil pattern, and you can counteract the drift and things like that a little bit more easily with a controller because it's harder to do with joysticks as opposed to a mouse. Well, when you do that on a console, for instance, if somebody sets up a Zim 4 or some other kind of third-party adapter onto their Xbox, for instance, it doesn't take any kind of consideration for that because it's not set up to do that. So you're getting the softer recoil of the controller profile, but then you're getting the advantage of being able to quickly correct with the mouse, and it's like a double advantage on console.
So I didn't think it was cheating before, but the way you phrase it, that you actually get an advantage because of recoil if you plug in a mouse and keyboard on console, then yeah, that definitely does sound like cheating. But it's kind of interesting because I feel like it's so controversial in the community split. They're like, oh, I play better on a controller, then so if I play better on mouse keyboard, what's the issue on that? And it's kind of tough. I believe I don't know if there's a delay. I heard there was a delay if you do mouse and keyboard on console because like you have to connect your Bluetooth to either your phone and computer. It has to register, and sometimes the lean doesn't work correctly, or if you turn a corner, your running kind of stops. So I feel like there is an advantage in aiming wise, but disadvantage in movement wise from what I think and see from it. What do you think, THOMI?
Yeah, as you said, to be fair, full disclosure, I have never played mouse and keyboard on console. I don't know how it feels, but also there is this limit. You can only move your mouse so fast on consoles, so you cannot flick or anything. That probably makes it not as good as mouse and keyboard on PC. But in general, my general stance on it is, we had very similar things on PC for the last like 20, 30 years. In terms of gaming, we always had better keyboards, better mice. Even if you just upgrade your PC, if you have a low-end PC that runs the game at 30 to 40 FPS, you're gonna have a disadvantage to somebody that has a 144 Hz monitor and runs the game at 140 frames per second. That is definitely a disadvantage, and it's kind of just we got used to it as PC players because it was there from the very start. And on console, maybe it's just this general mentality of my console cannot be upgraded, therefore everybody kind of has the same chance, and everybody's just used to that. As Icy said though, with the recoil, that may actually give you like an edge, but what they have to do against it is just straight up allow proper mouse and keyboard on consoles, and give everybody the fair opportunity to plug in their €10 mouse, €10 keyboard, and play on consoles with mouse and keyboard if they choose to. Because the controllers are $40-50 anyways, right? So might as well spend that money on mouse and keyboard and play like that. If you still want to play with controller, you can go ahead and do that. But maybe even make separate queues for the people. That would maybe then split the community up too much. But yeah, in general, this is like my general stance. It's gonna come at some point anyways, I think.
Well, okay. I don't think you can plug in mouse and keyboard into a console and starts working right away, right? You need like an adapter.
No, you don't. You need like a special. As far as I know, you need like a special mouse and keyboard that you actually have to like install.
Right. So the console technically doesn't support mouse and keyboard, but you need like a external thing to make it work in majority of games. So does that mean the console doesn't support it, or someone found an adapter to work their way around it? So it won't be Ubisoft who has to make that adjustment. It will have to be Microsoft and PlayStation, right?
Yeah, but I'm assuming this has been like a thing for years now. I think I'm pretty sure, and Microsoft and Sony both not doing anything about it. And I don't think, honestly, I haven't done my research on that, but I don't know if they ever done a statement on this. But just from like an outside perspective, if they're not doing anything against it, they know it exists, which they very well do, then I think there's nothing against that.
Well, yeah, it's been like said on different community forums, and it's been talked about online. Like, hey, it's unfair that they have to from what I hear, like Xbox and PS4, like most of the platinum players, they would say they're that high rank because of mouse and keyboard, and it's unfair advantage. I see that complaint all the time, and I don't know what to think about it, because I see also people like have console and platform wars all the time, and people keep saying like the console is better than PC and stuff. I was like, so, if someone wants to play with what they're more comfortable with, I don't see anything against it. Only thing I want Ubisoft to fix is the recoil pattern. You plug in a mouse and keyboard into a console. The problem is if they work on an update just for that, then they're acknowledging that there is a disadvantage mouse and keyboard on console, and that they're spending their resource fixing something that is small. I assume most player base is only like a small percentage player base that does mouse and keyboard that they have to adjust for, and that there's like, oh, it's operational health. They're not working on a game. They're just trying to fix an update on console. I
don't think they can even implement something like that, because in the end, the way they did this whole mouse and keyboard thing is they just simulate the joystick onto a different method of input. So in the end, there is no like. There's nothing in the system that says this guy plays with mouse and keyboard, this guy plays with the controller. In the system, they all play with the controller. So I think Ubisoft really has no way to separate both. That would be just on PlayStation side. This is the reason why you can't like flick and stuff, because in the end, your controller, if you move it to the outer edge, it only moves that fast.
Yeah.
So I think in the end it's just on PlayStation, Microsoft, because they I think maybe it's happening. Maybe it's going to happen with the next console. Maybe they're going to implement it some way at some point that you can just plug in a normal mouse and keyboard into your consoles and it works. That would make it better for everybody, because I think more choice is important, because there might even be people with disabilities that cannot play on console controllers and have to use mouse and keyboard instead.
Okay.
And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, just wrapping on that point, what's your final thoughts on it, IcyCat? I know you play console. I do play on PC, and I play a little bit console with my fans, since a lot of them are on console. I actually notice when a person uses mouse and keyboard, and I was playing with you once, IcyCat's like, that guy's using mouse and keyboard, just the way he's just aiming his thing. I was like, and you're like, how can you tell? That's a mouse and keyboard thing.
Well, yeah, as somebody that plays on PC, you're probably a lot better suited to spot that because you see what you're used to seeing as far as reaction times and speeds. Whereas on a console, when we see something that goes very fast, we have our suspicions, but it's hard for us to really know for sure. Aside from the whole fact, like you said, like you can't flick necessarily. I mean, yes and no. You can only move as fast as a controller will let you move. But if you were to take your controller settings and you were to jack all those settings up to complete maximum, that it gets ridiculous that you really can't even really operate at those controller speeds very efficiently. I mean, I'm sure there's some players that can. I don't want to say there's nobody that can because somebody will say in the comments that they do. But for the most part, when you completely max out those sensitivity settings, a controller person really can't keep up with that. But if you've got that mouse input device to then control that insane sensitivity, I do think that that is operating at an advantage.
Okay. Anyways, THOMI, it's been a huge pleasure having you on our podcast this week. How can people find you to watch your unique content? And I believe you're a live streamer too.
Yes, on Twitch, it would be just THOMI, THOMI. On YouTube, it's also THOMI. Just put that in the search bar. You'll find the first result. And on Twitter, it would be at Lord THOMI. Basically, yeah, I'm posting random stuff on Twitter, and if you want to get notified about anything, really, it's on Twitter. So you can go ahead and check that out. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. And thank you so much, you guys, for being on the Siege Report. The Siege Report, I believe, is every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we always feature new guests in the community. Next week, we might have Narcoleptic Nugget on there. If you have any suggestion of who you want on the show, feel free to contact or tell your favorite influencer to contact me, and we'll try to get them set. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.